Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be covering the step-by-step process to build a list of 10,000 e-commerce stores in less than 10 minutes. So what are we covering? First, we're going to create a list of e-commerce stores inside of Clay. We're going to use the built with enrichment inside of Clay for some filtering specifically around technologies. We're going to use the Google Shopping enrichment for personalization, and then we're actually going to write a personalized first line using these enrichments. All right, so before we actually get into it, let's pick a company that we want to use as the basis for our list. So I found this company called Stadium Goods. They do apparel, they resell sneakers online, pretty cool brand. So I did a little research on this company just to get a sense for what they're about, right? So if they have 150 employees in this case, $4 million in revenue. Let's see if there's any other notes or details on the account. So sneakers, consignment, streetwear, e-commerce, retail, $4 million. They've been around for just 9 years and they're in the retail and apparel and fashion industries. Okay, cool. So this is a solid e-commerce business. Now, assume we want to find other businesses that look like them, because if we've already worked with Stadium Goods, we know we can get good results for them. Why can't we get good results for their competitors or companies that look similar to them? So let's click into Clay and get started. So open up a new table. There's a few ways to go about this. I'm going to show you a couple. So we have Ocean.io. Ocean.io is a really cool software and built-in enrichment inside of Clay. This basically gives you AI lookalikes. So all you need to do is plug in a domain into the search filtering here. Let's make sure that we're picking companies in the United States. We can add keywords if you want, but in this case, I just want to show you how this actually works. You could select technologies if relevant. You can also click here, include only e-commerce businesses, which we will. Conversely, you can exclude them if you don't want any e-commerce businesses in your list. And you can select revenue ranges. You can select, headcount range, which is what we'll do here. So we'll make sure that there's a max. And because this is 150 employees, let's say we don't want to work with anybody over 200. All right, so this looks like a good list. Let's make sure that we're not building a crazy big one. So in this case, we'll just limit the results to 10, which means that we're going to get 10 lookalike companies. The Ocean enrichment costs 1 Clay credit per line item. So that means that 10 results will cost 10 credits. So we'll hit continue. We'll go to a blank table and let's see what we get. All right, so they found some companies really quickly, which is pretty cool. So now let's see. All right, so we got the Flight Club company, which is, in this case, a $10 to $50 million revenue. Here's their domain. And it gives us a description as well. Let's pull that out. You can pull out the company size. Gives us some other really good information for targeting, for personalization, for relevance. You get their links to all of the company pages, which is very solid, especially if you're doing any kind of outreach on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter or X. Here are a number of highly relevant keywords. So, just looking at this, we see Jordan's here. That's one of their first keywords. So, we're on the right track, right? Impossible Kicks. This appears to be a sneaker company. Let's take a look into that as well, right? All right, so we offer a wide variety of sneaker styles, obviously with that name. Makes sense. Viper Soles. This also appears to be a shoe company. Another style company. Clothing, kicks. All right, cool. So this is exactly what we're looking for. In this case, these are smaller in terms of company size. But again, with e-commerce businesses, it's not always obvious Smaller companies can often have big revenue numbers. In this case, we don't really want the small revenue businesses. So let's use Flight Club as a good example of a company. So what you can do in theory is select 10,000 credits and run a Ocean.io search for 10,000. I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that because it's going to burn through a lot of credits, but that is a way you can get 10,000 companies. As you see here, there's about 10. So another way we can go and do this is build a list in Clay using their built-in integration with store leads. So if you're not familiar with store leads, it's an e-commerce specific data site, and it will give you a lot of great filtering data around e-commerce stores. So let's pull it up and just do a basic query. So you can start by typing in something very specific like, sneaker, like stores in New York, like that's possible. But in this case, we don't really want to go there. So let's just go broadly, apparel, fashion, and retail. Let's do streetwear. Let's see what comes up. Streetwear. Let's leave the e-commerce platform open at this time. Same with technologies. And let's make sure they're in the United States. And then let's keep our results to 10. And so let's hit continue. Let's see what it gives us. All right, so similar thing with store leads. It's going to cost you 10 credits per row. So let's see. All right, StockX, that is a sneaker company. That's definitely relevant for us. Stadium Goods, like it pulls that. And, the hundreds, Obey Clothing, these are all relevant, apparel, sneaker, kind of streetwear brands. So this was, a solid result for us. So what you could do then is go back and just continue to, if you're happy with these results, you can select this plus button here, go to continue, and then create a new search. Or what you can do is just go into the sources, click this button here, and then you can just fetch additional results. So say you want to get another 5,000, you can do that. And so what you would do from here is say, all right, now that we have our good list of companies, now we want to find people at these companies. So you hit actions, you go find people at these companies, and then you filter your list down to actually build the company or the persona list. So now that we have this list, there's also one more way that we can do this using some of the research that we've done already. So let's go into another Clay table, and this one is going to be one of their free enrichments. And so we're just going to do the find companies table. And so what we'll do here, they have this function, which is a lookalikes. So this will allow us to actually plug in multiple domains, and those domains will be used to look up similar companies. So we're going to use the best fit ones from these previous lists. So let's take Flight Club. It's a pretty good one. And then let's just take Stadium Goods as well. So we'll do those. We'll want to make sure that we're getting the right size company. So we'll go 50 to 200. We'll go United States. There's all good stuff. And then in this case, we don't need to limit the results necessarily. But let's see what we got. All right, so this is giving us over 25,000 results. So footwear brand, this is an optical group. So that wouldn't be ideal, right? So then you have sneaker politics, looks like a sneaker brand, like a luxury retail brand, B2B apparel, thrift stores. So this one's definitely more of, call it like a mishmash. It's not totally accurate. So what you would do in this case is just hone down the filtering further. So you don't want any agencies in this specific example. Let's say like agency marketing, and then, that'll probably get cut down a few of our results. Yeah, so still got about 25,000 results here. So what we can do instead is just limit it to, 10,000 here. So depending on your plan, you can upgrade this, but if you're on a lower plan, 10,000 is going to be your limit. So hit preview companies and you'll see that, we're going to import 10,000 companies here. So again, like what you want to do here is just filter this down to make sure that you're getting like the most relevant list possible for you. Volume's important, but also targeting is going to go a really long way. So make sure that your targeting is good and then import your list. So in this case, we'll just import to a new table. This will be a free one. You can enrich it further, but again, like $1 or a credit a row. So, that can really add up. So we build our list. We have 10,000 companies in here. Are they all perfect fit? No, but we do have the list of 10,000. And so what we can do from here is a couple things. We're basically going to want to pare this list down based on if they're using a specific technology. Now that we know Stadium Goods is a good fit, let's assume we know that they're using Shopify. So let's say this is a Shopify store. So what we'll want to do is go to add an enrichment. And so in this case, we're going to be doing like tech stack. So it's already suggesting it for us, which means and shows that this is a very powerful enrichment. So this is giving you kind of a waterfall here. I'm not going to use the predict leads as well, but we'll just use built with. And so what built with is doing in this case, you have built with, you have actions, you have domains, you can select the technologies that you want to filter for. So let's say we like Shopify, and then let's also say like Klaviyo or Klaviyo. And yeah, so we'll turn that on. Let's hit save and run 10 rows. As you can see, we pulled down the built with technology stack for these 10 companies. And so it gives us all of these related technologies that are, they say either Shopify, in this case, mostly Shopify, and you can see some Klaviyo down here too. So that means like DNA Footwear, has Klaviyo, has Shopify. This one, Toto Kalo, doesn't have either. So because of that, that would disqualify our these companies from being on our future list. So a way that you could do that, there's a million ways. I'll just show you one. So we'll just pull it out. So what you can do is a formula generator. If like technology stack contains Klaviyo, then Klaviyo. So that's just one way you can go about it. And then you can filter and say, all right, if this column is empty and it doesn't include Klaviyo, then, it's going to be excluded. You can also say something like, if this tech stack does not include Shopify, then mark bad fit. Right? So this is a very cool function here, this formula generator, and it basically takes whatever your instructions are, and then it converts them into, I believe this is some sort of JavaScript. I'm not a technical guy, so if anybody knows what it is and I'm wrong, like let me know in the comments. But I believe that it's what it is. And in this case, we have bad fit because they're blank, right? So this is really helpful, especially when it comes to doing lead scoring. So if they have certain technologies, then you can give them positive scores. If they don't have technology, you can give them negative scores, and so on and so forth. That's going to be really helpful in terms of your targeting and really building a list. And so the cool thing about these two is then you can come back to this over time. People will leave the company, people will come to the company who are in those target roles. And so you can use these databases as a way to continually reaching out to, those really good fit companies. Now, you don't have to hit them up one time, and if they don't hear back, you never hear from them again. I always recommend, getting in touch with really good fit companies at least every quarter, because people haven't seen your message, or they saw it and it wasn't the right time, and then next quarter it actually is. So that's why it's important to keep your data really clean, because then you can use it again over time. So let's do one more enrichment. So let's just assume that we want to know what types of products that these companies are selling. And the reason why that could be important is, say you're doing some outreach to marketing director at DNA Footwear or a growth leader or salesperson or literally anybody. A really relevant thing to say to them would be, hey, I was shopping on your site or I was on Google and I came across DNA Footwear and I saw you were selling XYZ shoe. That could be something that gets a person to have their eyebrows perk up and have them actually engage with your email, right? Because it's super relevant at that point. So in this case, what we need to do, it's a pretty simple configuration here. So, you set up your inputs. Okay, so what I've done here is I put in the domain, we hit continue, add fields. It's gonna return data for the first item. We'll just have all of the results here. So we'll get source, so where it came from, the price, the position, how many reviews, what its rating was, if they have any other delivery items on here as well. So that's all good. Now let's click run and see what we got. All right, cool. So in this case, we're getting results for all of them except for American Thrift, which makes sense because I'm sure a thrift store is not the highest chance of putting their products on Google. So in this case, we have a lot of good results. All right, so from DNA Footwear, they have the Del Mar, which costs $160. It's in the top position, free 30-day delivery, free returns. Okay, cool. So now we can use this to actually create a personalized first line. So there's a few ways to go about this. What you can do here, we can create a basic formula in using AI to make this sound kind of human. So you wouldn't say, hey, I saw you had DNA Footwear Del Mar. You would want to say something that's like, hey, I saw that you were selling the Del Mar for a certain price or something of that nature, right? Write a quick prompt. Okay, so I was able to come up with this prompt. So give me only the name of the product and no extra fluff in the column, and then provide your final output in lowercase and less than 4 words. You can continue to manipulate this, but as you can see here, it gives us a pretty solid, just lowercase summarized product. And so this is something we can much more easily include in a first line email or just a first line. So what we'll do here is create another formula, and we'll say something along the lines of I noticed your top product on Google Shopping is the product name. Response. Love your brand. Right. Say something maybe we'll say something like the top product line. Yeah, so I noticed your top product line on Google Shopping is the product name, love your brand, and then you can just include that as a first line pretty simply to anybody at that company, right? It's the Murray Frame collection, and that's how you write a first line for that. Going back to what we were gonna do here, right? We've accomplished all of our goals for this tutorial. So we were able to build a list 3 separate ways. We were able to use the built with enrichment to do lead scoring and filtering to make sure you're only hitting up the right best fit leads. We've included some nice personalization through Google Shopping, and we've written a first line to make sure you stand out in the inbox. I hope this one was useful. If you want me to help you build out a cold email campaign completely done for you, book a meeting in the link below at levergrowth.io. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Peace.